On Wednesday, we saw how the EMS team was stranded at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital because the trolley had been seized and improvised as a bed to treat a patient. Well, the story continues, and my colleague Mata Krensolakwa reports that the team had no choice but to leave the ambulance trolley after 3 hours while waiting. And this episode of the emergency exit will also highlight how prank calls block the opportunity of genuine calls seeking treatment.
It's been over 3 hours of patiently waiting at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for the trolley to be released for the EMT team so they can go elsewhere and continue their job. But that seemed nearly impossible. So I have EMT Christopher here to update us on the situation and what our next line of action is. Christopher, tell me, so what's the latest?
What you're telling us is that right now we would have to wait some few hours again before we can get trolley back. That's not possible. We would have to go do other rounds, fill oxygen and other stuff. So we would go and maybe come later and see whether we can pick our trolley up.
I am having my first ride in the ambulance. I'm dreading the speed, but I've been assured it's not going to be speeding as I fear because there is no patient in it. And that confirms the fact that without a patient, it's just another vehicle on the road, which will not use a siren, which will not speed also. So in the ambulance, there's supposed to be a trolley here, but the story is different. Just because we had to leave the trolley behind at Kolebu Teaching Hospital after 3 hours, more than 3 hours, because there is no bed. So the trolley has become the alternative bed for the sick woman. And for now, the trolley stand is carrying our bags and equipment. And hopefully later, hours later, the EMT can come for the trolley and continue to their station at Pantine. I am in the ambulance. I'm going to enjoy the ride. The ambulance system in the country faces some key challenges. Key among them is inadequate fleet.
Most of the ambulances around my vicinity where I cover are broken down, and I cover all the area. So at a particular time when we are supposed to be here, or you're supposed to be going for other cases, we are supposed to waste all that time here until we're able to get our trolley before we get back to base. And for all that time duration, other people might be wanting the service of the ambulance, which is parked here until we're able to get our trolley.
So you've relayed this information to the control room that you are unavailable within this period because you are waiting to get your trolley. Why can't you just leave the trolley and go?
The trolley is it's very important because it's what you use to carry the patient. So without it, you can't work, because when you carry the patient, you can't leave the patient on the stand. You need a trolley to keep the patient on before you can do other stuff. It's one of the most important things in the car. Without the trolley, the ambulance is nothing. Like it's empty.
Ideally, there should be a main fleet and standby ambulances to serve the country, but this is virtually non-existent.
Ideally, for every ambulance station, you're supposed to have a standby vehicle. When one leaves for emergency, there's a standby. Or when it goes for maintenance, there is a standby. Because we still have not been able to develop to a point where we have enough resources, the standby vehicles normally do not exist. So we rely solely on the main vehicle that is on the road.
Some Ghanaians have accused the ambulance service of extorting monies from them before making their service available to them. But according to the service, what it takes from patients or their family members is for fuel support, and that is sanctioned.
Please, are you a relative of the patient?
Oh, okay. All right, okay. Thank you.
With me. Okay.
Oh, okay. So when you are about to go, let us know.
Tell the relative that they will give 150 for the fuel support.
Okay.
When the ambulance, 150 for the fuel support. Yes. So kindly tell them when they agree, then I'll let the ambulance come. If is he with you? Is a relative with you? Yes, you know the relative have to agree on the amount.
Whether they can afford
they can afford or not, then we know what to do. That is why I'm saying, please tell me. then I will talk to my OIC, then we'll know what we'll do about it. Okay. All right.
Hello.
Okay.
Normally, it will depend on the hospitals that will call, depending on where they are calling from. And then we support something small for fuel. But for the charges, we don't charge higher. Let me say, if you take a case from Ridge Hospital to Kolebu, we support a fuel of 50 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
It's only when we are going for examination, let me say scan, X-ray, and other medical. With that, those ones.
You do that one.
We do that one too. There are some, yes. There are some patients that with their condition, they can't sit. They have to lie in the trolley. So such patients, when they are going to do maybe head scan, abdominal scan or something, they have to be in the ambulance. And normally, in those scans and those things, they have to book. So it's not like something that you just get there and then they will do it done for you. So that one takes a longer time. A longer time. So that's the only difference, that the charges changes. But for referral cases, and then when you call and then you tell us that maybe you want to refer a case or something and you don't even have money, we still make sure that we take the patient to the appropriate facility to be taken care of. So it's not compulsory that if there is no ambulance, sorry, if you don't have money to pay, we don't go. We do make sure we take the patient to the receiving facility to be for a further medical care to be taken to.
Okay.
Good afternoon, ambulance service.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, madam.
Please, my name is Dr. Rosemond J. I'm calling from Medina Polyclinic, Kikili.
Yes, madam.
I have a patient I want to refer to, 37, Guinness.
Madam, please.
I need an ambulance, yes.
Okay. Madam, please give me your contact number.
My contact number is 0276 74400.
Madam, please, have you made arrangements at 37?
Yes, please.
Please, may I know the department you called?
Gynae, please.
Gynae.
Yes, please.
Okay. Madam, is it possible to know the one you spoke with at 37?
We spoke to one anesthetic by name, Mr. Osei.
Mr. Osei.
Yes, please.
Okay. Madam, please, I want to know the patient's condition.
She's a female, a 35-year-old female with ruptured ectopic. She came in the morning. We were monitoring her for some time, but then we realized that she has a ruptured ectopic and we've been trying to make arrangements. It just went through. That's why we are now calling you.
Okay, madam. Madam, please, I'll call 37 gynae department to confirm if an arrangement has been made and then there is a bed to accept the patient, and they'll call you back.
All right.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, too.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam. Please, am I speaking to Dr. Rosemond J?
Yes, please.
Please, I'm calling from the National Ambulance Control Room.
Okay.
You called earlier on for an ambulance to convey the patient to 37 Military Hospital, Gynae.
Yes, please.
Madam, please, I've called 37. They said they are aware, so we should bring the patient.
All right.
So please, we'll be dispatching the ambulance at your end. But you support fuel of 50 Ghana cedis.
All right.
Okay. Madam, please, the ambulance.
How soon should we expect the ambulance?
Please, within the next 10 minutes, the ambulance will be there.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Bye.
And yes, Reggie, Adia, Nipa Nebeda Suno, and Nibi.
10. Proceed to Mama Mission. Female Ward Fan Agency Control over.
Now control from Amu 0 over.
10 go ahead, control over.
10 now at Manami over.
Roger, control over.
Now control from Amu 0 over.
10 go ahead, control over.
Patient handed over to hospital authority. 10 mobile to over.
Roger, control over.
What are some of the challenges you face with picking calls and dispatching ambulance to patients? What are the challenges you face?
Most challenges, let me say, the biggest challenge is the prank calls. Because about 90% of the calls that comes are prank calls. And then it's most of the time deprive a true call to come through, because one person can engage the line for almost an hour.
Oh, really?
Really, yes.
For what?
Just calling, because the number is free. They will call, you pick the call. Either the person insults you, or the person can just be on the line for some time. And if the line is not cut, there's no way another call can come in. So
you can hang up from here.
If you hang up and then the person have not hang up over there, it's fine, it's difficult. And most of them, even when you hang up, they will call again. And because they are on the phone, immediately they can just redial.
And they will keep coming through.
They will keep coming through. And then when true calls are coming, they are not getting us.
Hello?
In the next few minutes, they will call and they will tell you, we've called the ambulance several times. Either they are not picking our calls, or their lines were off, or their lines were busy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with these prank calls? How do you deal with them? Because you can trace the number.
Yes. Formerly, we found it difficult to trace some of the numbers, especially with the Vodafone and then the MTN line. But now, we have phones with caller IDs. So when they call, we normally see their numbers. Those that we think maybe for almost within a minute, they can call more than 10 or 5 times. What we do is we just save their number as prank, so that when they are calling, we don't pick those calls. Then when there's an incoming call, which we've not stored it as prank or anything, we can just pick that call to attend to the person calling.
Whilst conducting this interview, one of the prank calls came through.
Ejat or infa? Impatu, mpatu wa infa? Koforidia infa? Anyaso. Nampatu wankasa owen? Patu mami wo number why? 054 55 80 326. Patrosa repeat your number ni biom why? Some boy number ni biom why? But the bema fire service for. What say? 054 55. Hi. Okay, number show within the same. Your frau kweku. Where your banana bema? O say. Where bema? You me the number bema fire service. Where didn't fear say? Good afternoon, ambulance service. What did he say? Yo, Martin, let me see. Where did you say? Where did you say? Where did 48? Sir. Into where penny and aquala? What say? Where penny wo? Kweku. 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 Oh, Kase. You. Inti eba wo honum. Na mana odi ma me me frɛ wa wo mfa da na wo mfa.
In order to verify, the team called back the number after the caller had hung up, but the number could not be reached.
Amazing. Imagine that those hotlines that you will be trying to get in touch or, you know, put your call through when there's an emergency. There are other people who are putting in prank calls. They make up about 80% of the calls that get into the ambulance service. Imagine that. Just imagine that. Well, this is the third part in a series of 4 that we're bringing to you. A series produced by Martha Krenzel Aqua. Tomorrow, Friday, God willing, we'll do the final take and then we'll pick the conversation from there. If you've been monitoring, if you started with us, it will be time for you to join us, hopefully when we activate the phone line. So if you've got any experiences that you might want to share on the ambulance service. Remember, we started with you know, some of the challenges in terms of how they even get patients to the various facilities and then they don't have anywhere, space to even accommodate them. And then there are stretchers, sometimes they can't even get it back. So a lot of the frustrations with the ambulance service, hopefully in the end we can get some real good answers. And if you've been pranking those emergency numbers, please stop.